Have a guess who got it working? Yeah, I know. Hang on. I just need to have... will that work? Yes. Quality. Betty Swallocks. Well, those that are here will just let everyone get their feet under the table for a minute or two while I sort out my million pieces of paper. God blimey. Some people have already left. And those that are here, the good news is that Fatal Racing Driver, hello, and Dave Strange. Hi, Adrian. Let me just bring this down just a touch. That's Burr. The sun is over the yard arm, so a little snifter is worth it. Dr. Kerry C. Hello, Doctor. Simon John Lavender. Hello, Simon John Lavender. Peter B. Good evening, Adrian. Chocolate frenzy. Hi, Adrian. My feet are hot under the table. Brilliant. It is. It's been a nice lolly day today, but don't tell anyone. Cool. Chewed on them like they were going out of fashion. Marvellous. It is definitely Betty Swallocks. We're not... Why is it rains and we complain, and then we get beautiful weather and then we complain? Keith James, loving your vlogs. You're wrongin'. Cheers, Keith. Bouncy Castles 12. Evening, you're wrongin', Adrian. Andy Turner, you utter wrongin'. Hello, sexy. Obviously, being on the beer, you're wrongin'. Anne Hutton, hello, Han. Anne. I was going to say hi there, so I mixed my two words up. Apologies. Light Sky with a thumbs up. Thank you to everyone with manners who've said hello. Don't forget to ding the likes. Seemingly, the algorithm goes, oh, I say, lots of likes on that particular video. Maybe we should promote it to others. So if you could, the thummy thing, the likes will be much appreciated. If you can hear any airplanes going overhead, it's not me. Andy Turner. Nope, not yet sexy. Oh, this is a beautiful evening. The weather is lovely and warm. People are pouring into the... I don't know what we should come to some kind of an agreement what we'll call the live. We'll just let it evolve naturally, of course. Sea Moon Maria. Sorry, Sea Moon. Didn't see you there for a second. Evening, Adrian. Evening, all. Sea Moon Maria. Good to have you back. Who else? Did I miss anyone? Hopefully not. No. Paulie Galtieri. All right, Chunky. All right, Fat Paulie. David Bailey. Evening. Hello, hello, hello. Andy, really, is it live theatre? Wonderful. God knows where I've got this bloody posh accent from, so to speak. I've come fresh from watching the press conference, the American press conference for the OceanGate sub. I do want to talk about it, but Sandra Hughes, you're always welcome to the Kirk, to the body of the church. Good evening. Late to the party. Only the righteous here. And before I get to my usual, housekeeping and stuff, can I ask, has anybody been in touch with Tracy? You know, the YouTuber Tracy? I can't find her channel anywhere. So I think she's skedaddled off. Paulie Galtieri, yes, of course he was. How do, Chunky? He was, yeah. Paulie, I apologise. I'm man enough to apologise. I was only teasing you. But yes, I know what his introduction was. I know where he nicked it from. And I quite enjoy calling people wrong-uns because it gives a certain cachet. Oh, Simon John Lavender, where'd you hear that? Simon John Lavender reckons, is it true that Meghan has put Harry in hospital? What, with a jacket that ties up the back in a nicely padded room or something? What kind of hospital? Okay, Chocolate Frenzy, thank you for that. I've emailed Tracy, but she hasn't replied yet. I hope she's well. I do. Well, we can do it now if you wish, but YouTube is an odd place. It really is a very odd place, and there are those that hide in the shadows, and those that think they know what they're doing when they don't. Well, look, all I can say is that there are those who know, and there are those who think they know. And those that think they know have probably been locked up for 2 years, rattling their pots and pans every Thursday night, and not actually looking at what was going on. But those that know have come out into the brave new world, this new normal. They've dropped that one. Bring back better. They dropped that one. And it's, I mean, look, if people are going to do silly and naughty things, then that's their responsibility, their actions, their responsibility. And life does take care of people. It doesn't matter whether you might think, oh, it needs to happen now. They need to be taught the lesson now. Well, life doesn't always do that. Life teaches lessons when it's appropriate, and the person might actually understand the lesson. Because if you don't get the lesson, then life's going to deal with you down the line, and they're going to do it again. And you're going to have to experience something similar. It's like a journalist asking a question. A journalist will ask a question and then will ask the same question in a different way. Life does that to you. It asks questions of you that you should be able to answer the questions. And if you can't, then they'll just give that experience to you again until you learn sufficiently to be able to deal with life. That's all it is. Moon Maria, I don't mind being called a wrong'un, because unfortunately I'm chunky, so wrong'un would make a change. Moon Maria, be a proud wrong'un. Somebody asked me today, here, Adrian, when did you start using it and where did you get it from? And I started using it in 97. It was just one of those things. I can't tell you where I got it from because it's part of a larger sentence, a larger metaphor. I definitely won't get it past the algorithm. Right, let's get a couple more comments. Paulie Galtieri, I feel sorry for those wrong'uns in those poor people in that tin can under the North Atlantic somewhere, fools with too much money. Polly, we're going to get into that, but I just want to do me usual, because we're cracking on, my usual housekeeping. So tonight it's live number 14. 14, who'd have thought I'd get past 1, let alone 14. And I would like to wish you a happy summer solstice. Some people are saying it's the longest day of the year. No, it just feels like it in this heat. The next live, this coming Sunday, 25th of June. I'm going to do it at 7 on Sunday. See how it goes. I did think of changing this tonight's live until 8 o'clock because people are still not quite home from work, and 8 o'clock, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And if it's appropriate, then we'll get to 8 o'clock and we'll do something like that. Screw politics. Evening, Adrian. You're wrong'un. Are you no longer on Twitter? Yes, I am, but not for the moment. I've taken a step back from Twitter for the moment. I'm reevaluating a lot of my social media and see how joined up I can make it. So for the moment, I'm not on Twitter. I looked at how many times I'd posted on Twitter in the last 10 months. It was 28 times, kind of 2 and a bit tweets a month. I mean, that's not active at all. Proper active is like 3 tweets a day. So I'm looking at it. I am looking at it, but who knows? Andy Turner, 8 is a nice time. Yeah, I think we might get to 8 o'clock regularly on a Wednesday and a Sunday, just simply because it fits with people coming in from work or getting the kids fed or going and taking the kids to ballet, all that malarkey. You've got stuff to do. And a live around about 8 o'clock would, I think, would fit with your lifestyle Not sure about my lifestyle if I have one. But the next live is this coming Sunday, 21st of June, 2023. Is it the 21st on Sunday already? No, it can't be. Today's the 21st. Sunday, 25th of June. 25th. Right, let's get into today is it St. John the Baptist Day? Isn't the summer solstice St. John the Baptist, and December, the winter solstice, St. John the Evangelist? It's the two St. Johns. There's deep esoterica in there. So if you're into esotericism, go and check it out. Me too. The motorcycle restorer. Yo, Adrian. Motorcycle restorer. Dave Murdoch. Oh, you're a blast from the past. Where from, Dave? Let me know where. Which part of the country? Which radio station? I'll be a gentleman. I won't say anything else just in case it incriminates me. Andy Turner. Can I get a coffee and listen in bed? Yeah? Hang on. Why would you take a coffee to bed? Would that not sort of wake you up and invigorate you? Phil Sumner. Evening, Adrian. Loving all your videos. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. We can pass that as comment because it's actually copyrighted by an author. So technically, can't use it, I suppose. The Club Jukebox. Nah, it's just Wednesday. Hump day. Ebony, good to see you again, Ebony. Evening, Adrian. Loved your work since January. Any funny showbiz tales? Oh, I've got loads of them, Ebony. I've got loads of them. Some of which I definitely will have to put by the lawyers. Let's think of one off the top of my head. God, there's so many of them. Ebony, give me a steer. What kind of story would you want? Andy Turner, nope, only drink coffee. Blimey, Andy. Right, let's get into this. I came to the live from the reportage that was the press conference for the OceanGate sub. Alison, not quite sure. I couldn't read it quick enough to make sense of it. But the press conference, I'll just give you some background. I'm sure you're very well aware because the whole world is watching. Everyone. But my first take on this was, remember I said to you that for the past few months, the press are only ever reporting one story. They go into detail and they do a deep dive on the particular story, but there's only ever one story. So over last weekend, it was Bojo. We've now got the OceanGate sub. Before that, it was Schofield for about a month. It's really odd. So I looked at the daily papers today just to see. I went and bought them, paid my own money, just to see what's in them. And the Sun, absolutely nothing. It is just showbiz gossip. And some of them, I look at them and think, who are they? They're not stars. They're not showbiz stars. They're just reality people who got lucky. Some of them, most of them. I mean, the front of the Sun today, I had to look, it's on floor next to me. It's like, oh, I was going to go on the doomed sub. Now, I get that. I get that they're trying to find angles and report on the angles so that you'll go, like me, go and pick the paper up. Any out of character celeb stories? Barbara Woodhouse, Poe going to punk, for example. Ebony, that way. Oh, can you imagine seeing Barbara Woodhouse heel or sit? Barbara Woodhouse, Poe going to punk. That would be just fabulous. Very good point, Alison. The people in the OceanGate sub should never have gone down there. The Titanic is classed as a grave. So that's a very good point, Alison. Thank you for that. So let's get a sit rep on what's going on. So there are, for your reference, sound in water travels faster than light and the speed of light, and the speed of sound is quicker in water than in air. So sound travels at 1,500 meters per second in water, and it can travel over hundreds of kilometers. I mean, I know the search area is massive. And they've said that the P3 Canadian aeroplane has heard banging yesterday and today, but they can't identify what the banging was or where it was. They just know that they've been able to pick it up yesterday and today. So it looks like they've still got oxygen left and they're still there, because you would imagine that the only thing that they've got to alert the rescue services is by tapping on the hull, so to speak, of the OceanGate sub. Now, they still don't know where the sub is. They have no clue. They can't even say, well, we're operating this particular area and we feel it's going to be in there, so we're just closing it down. And the guesstimate as to how much oxygen they've got left is till 10 o'clock tomorrow, 10 o'clock GMT. Now, I did see something a little concerning, because I know we Brits have, we're a seafaring nation. We always have been for thousands of years. And whether you go back to the Vikings and the Saxons and the thousand of years under Athelstan, or any of the kings, whether you go to the Knights Templar, they were great seafaring warriors. America didn't want our involvement, which is a little odd. Why would you not want some of the greatest seafarers in the world and in history? And we have the ability to go down to 10,000 kilometers. Now, they reckon that the Titanic is laying on the seabed at about 3,800 kilometers, which is 2 and a bit miles. I mean, that's a fair old way down. But we have the capability to go down to 10,000 kilometers, and they delayed us setting off there. We have 5 humans in the deepest, darkest part of the planet. I mean, they do say we've had men on the moon. We have International Space Station floating above the Earth. But the ocean, it's still the great unknown. I'm going to ask you a question. This whole story, is this about explorer spirit? You know, we've got 2 members of one of the wealthiest families in the UK and Pakistan. We have a billionaire that's also paid 250 grand each to go down. So we have 3 Brits and 2 staff. We have the chief exec, and we have the guy steering the sub. So from Fatal Racing Driver, even if the craft is found, the problem is getting the oxygen to the men. Also, the oxygen may be used up quicker due to panic, which is understandable. Yeah, I agree with you. Fatal Racing Driver, I just feel sorry for the families. I do understand from what I've seen in the media, the BBC and the press conference, that the families are out there. They're out there in the area, hopeful for a positive outcome. Andy Turner, very insightful, Andy, because the Americans want to be the heroes in this. Now, I was going to pass comment about press conferences, because the Americans do it slightly different to we Brits. They drag everybody out so that everybody can get their ugly fizzog on the telly, because it's good for promotion. It's good for the CV. Oh, Retro on his bikes. Afternoon, Retro. Hang on. Some of these messages are being retracted. Did you do that? Just confirm for me, Retro, whether you did that or whether there's something in the algorithm doing that. David Bailey says, Titanic lying at 3,840 meters or 2.4 miles. Retro's bobbing along on the ocean. Be well and stay safe, Retro. Always good to have you here. Their only hope, said Sean Edwards, is to somehow resurface. Otherwise, they're totally doomed. So I'm gonna ask you the question again, because I would love to hear your thoughts, because I'd like this to be an interaction. Are people reacting to this story? And everyone has an opinion. Is this about explorer spirit? Or how the wealthy spend their money. Because I would imagine the chief executive's going to get a freebie. The driver's going to get a freebie because he's doing the work. So there's 3 other people within the sub. That means 750 grand for 2 hours down, about 5 hours, I reckon, that we're going to be around the hull of the ship. And then 2 hours back. So for 9 hours, it was going to be 750 grand. So is this about explorer spirit? Would you do that? Would you go down to the Titanic in a submarine, A, if you had the money, and B, if you had the wherewithal? So do you have the explorer spirit, and is this whole story about simply that? Or is it about how the wealthy spend their money? Would I do it? Not in a month of Sundays. No. Screwed politics. You're always after these psyops, aren't you? Even the mission to discover the Titanic wreck was a psyop. I mean, I do get that a lot of the big powers, Britain, Russia, America, they're all listening to each other. That's why. And have you noticed how the Americans can't speak English? I mean, I know we have commonalities, but what, buoys? What on God's green earth is a buoy? It's a buoy. Not the kind that Philip Schofield plays with, but buoy. That's how you pronounce it. Buoy, not buoy. I mean, maybe we should do some evangelical work. Maybe we should go to America and kind of bring them in line with mother tongue. Anyway, so this P3 is Canadian. This P3 has chucked some boys in the water, listening devices. And what they normally use those for is to listen for other superpowers' submarines. So like Canada has the facility to listen out for America, to listen out to Russia and Britain and Australia and anybody else that's got submarines. Indonesia, like Indian and Pakistani, they have some submarines, and some of the European nations that are seafaring. So they're all at it, just kind of monitoring each other. And now France is over there. Good on them for offering straight away. But the Americans went, oh, yes. Come on, Bear. But the Brits, with the wherewithal, fantastic seafaring nation. And we have the bits of kit that can go down 10,000 kilometers. What's that? 10K, 6 miles? Just off the top of my head here, didn't James Cameron, the director of Avatar, go down 10,000 meters in the ocean? I mean, we've not been anywhere near mapping the ocean floor and mapping what's in the ocean, because obviously they don't want us to know, I presume. But just for your premise, the oxygen runs out at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, or 11 o'clock British Standard Time, I think. And even though I've asked you about the explorer spirit and how the wealthy spend their money, can you imagine what it feels like to face your own demise? Genuinely, have you got the kahunas to go 2.5 miles down to have a look at the Titanic? If you had the money, would you? I still maintain, even if I had the money, I wouldn't do it in a month of Sundays. Never. I mean, that's why I don't go potholing. Enclosed spaces, not so sure. Heights, get a bit of a wobble on. Any what? But stick me in the cold, honestly. If it's like minus 70 degrees, I'd happily go out naked. I went across to, went skiing in Davos a couple of years ago. I was happy to walk around in shorts. The locals were looking at me going, madman, crazy man, flip-flops and shorts. It's only snow, man. It's only frozen water. Don't feel it. Annie Wax said, it's the stuff of nightmares. I agree completely. I mean, how are they going to handle this? Evening, Adrian. Bald, not I'm not repeating that, you're wrong. But evening all the same. Yeah. Andy Turner says, as I said, the Americans don't want the Brits to be the heroes here. So I think we've gone out today. It's going to take us possibly 2 or 3 days to get there, but we can recover the craft. Are the Americans just resigned to, we're going to be taking, sadly, 5 people out of the water that will or might not be alive? I agree with Annie Watt. It is, something of nightmares. That girl 8, nobody could pay me to go down to the Titanic. I'm so glad you said 2 and not on. So that really is the latest. The Americans are still controlling it. France going out there. Canada's already out there. Canada's got his... who's that a message held? Oh, Keith. I'm not repeating that one, big lad. So, Retro said something interesting. He said, at least they'll fall asleep before dying. Is that because of the lack of oxygen, so people just will slowly go? They were saying the P3 airplane with the listening buoys in the water, they were saying that, they heard it yesterday and they heard a noise today, and they're saying, or it was reported, we don't know what the source is or was, that it was every 30 minutes. Now, if that's correct, and if that has happened, then somebody within that sub has made that conscious decision to make sure and knew that sound travels 1,500 meters per second in water. So they would know that would travel hundreds of kilometers, and they would know that the military would have listening planes up and their listening buoys in the water. So that looks like someone who is, and they did ask in the press conference, can you tell us about what the banging was? What kind of rhythm or what kind of sound was coming from the listening buoys? So maybe it was an SOS in Morse code. We don't know that. They can't confirm that. So the journalists were asking that question in different ways to try and find out if there was any more information as far as the sound from the sub. Let me just go to some of your comments. Theo Bovril, they say that they lost contact with the sub when it got down to 9,000 feet. How many yards is that? 3,000? Yeah, they were down about an hour and 3/4, and there was it's a 2-hour journey from surface to Titanic, and they reckoned that it was an hour and 3/4 down, and it only had about 15 minutes left. So it could have been that they've gotten down to the Titanic wreck, and maybe some fast current has got hold of the sub and taken it away somewhere, or got it trapped. They just don't know. But within the newspapers over the last 24, 48 hours, there's people saying, I was trapped in that sub against the propeller and we couldn't get out. So, yeah, I agree with Spudbin. The current could have carried them anywhere, which is why they really have to try and find this noise. They're also saying that there's animals that make noises and the seabed is full of noise. I would imagine that the steel down there and the pressures down there would make it bend and stuff, but regular tapping every 30 minutes, if there was any animals, they would start and finish, and even if they came back 30 minutes later and did it, it would just be too much coincidence for something to be happening every 30 minutes. So the reason why I started this live with this subject is because it's a subject that everyone is gripped by. I don't think there's anyone that wants this to have any kind of negative outcome. I think everyone is. There's a very famous old saying, I don't know who said it, but it's better to travel in hope than arrive disappointed. So I think everyone is just holding that hope out. And after, you know, the news that we had out of Nottingham last week, and we're getting another report of another stabbing in a London hospital, life doesn't feel secure at the moment. It doesn't feel normal. It doesn't feel steady, grounded. And then to have this incredible story, I would hedge any betting that most, if not all, would like these 5 people to come back safely. I mean, look at the kids in the caves. Can you remember the kids in the caves in Chile? That was a worldwide reported story, and everybody in their own way, I'm sure, celebrated quietly that those kids got out of the caves. So I think by how much you're commenting on the live stream, you're of the same mind, that we get the 2 staffers and the 3 Brits out of, you know, 2.5 mile down in water that's pitch black, that you can't see. They've already got 2 ROVs, haven't they, on the ocean bed, on the sea bed, and they're not coming back with anything. So if praying is your thing, please. If you just want to send love and thoughts, please. But let's hope for continued hope, and something, somehow, a miracle happens, and we're able to get them out of the ocean. Screw politics is, I think what they're talking about, the controller for the sub being like a PlayStation control. What did you say, Paulie? Yeah, I think they designed it around an Xbox controller or a computer controller. They designed it around. It's not a straight lift. I know there are people in the press today saying, "Oh, it's been put together by stuff from Amazon, and you know, it wasn't fit for purpose." Well, I'm sure that the Americans, either the Americans or the Canadians, who would have had to do this, would have given them some kind of certification for them to be able to go that far down. Yeah, Mark does say half of it might as well have been built with Lego, from what we're hearing. That is true. Kids are disciplined these days. We need to fetch the... Oh, kids. Are they or aren't disciplined these days? We need to bring the army back. Right, thank you for that indulgence. But I talked about it simply because I came straight from the press conference, from watching the press conference rather than being at the press conference. And I do love the Americans, but they're really funny. They do like to be John Wayne. But as I say, did they hold us back? Because they know we have the kit to bring that sub back to the surface. We just don't want their demise to be reported all over the newspapers. So thank you for that, and we'll get into some other stuff now. I did mention that there's been another stabbing in a London hospital today. Suspect and victim in critical condition. That happened late afternoon. We're getting word of 4 people in a critical condition after an explosion in central Paris. That's what I'm saying. The world just is odd now. After being locked up for a couple of years, we come out to this new normal. We're all thankful that we can go and see family and friends. We can go to the pub and have a jar or 3. Oh, that's interesting, Screw Politics. The owner who was on board the sub said he wanted people with non-seafaring abilities to control the vessel, hence why it was built with a games control steering device. Interesting. And it's in international waters. No laws, apparently. Interesting, Paulie. And Screw Politics. Thank you for that. So, just again, I said a few weeks ago that the world was feeling a bit odd and weird and very unstable. I'm of the mind that the majority of people are good, honest, straight up and down, want to do the best thing by everybody, the common good, most people want to do that. But where this violence is coming from, I don't know whether it's from the 2 years of uncertainty that we've had. People's mental health states are in a terrible state. And rather than these people, I mean, spineless Sunak, what has he been up to over the past 4 or 5 days? Spineless. And I did say in one of my previous videos, I don't know whether you would agree with this, but like Philip Schofield, if he'd thrown his hands up and gone, okay, you caught me out, but look, we just happen to have fallen in love. We're in love. We're just going to see where the relationship goes to. But I know that you, like me, are a bit of a cynical old tart. You just think, hang on a second, there's something going on here. There's something in the background here. And you can gauge that by Matthew McGreevy not saying a dicky bird. Why? And technically they've not broken any laws from what they've told us. They were of consenting age. So why has Schofield given Matthew McGreevy a lawyer? There's just stuff. Does that make any sense to you? There's just stuff. And being a cynical old tart, I go, no, that don't feel right. As I say, Philip Schofield was gay in the 80s. No change 3 years ago. It was more shocking to me that he got married. So I know that the story is meandering away. I still have some stuff that I need you to see. I still have stuff that I need to talk to you about. Can't do it in the live because I want to insert stuff, if you pardon the very obvious pun. I'm going to do a video over the next few days just to sort of bring it to your eyes. So Schofield and then spineless Sunak. I mean, we need somebody who's got kahunas the size of planets. We need someone at the pointy end going, this is the direction we're going to go in. This is how we're going to do it. And he takes us with him. I don't want to hear rumours about where the money's gone, spineless. I don't want you to avoid voting on something because you think it might look bad on you. Look, the politicians in Parliament, they have said Boris Johnson lied as a collective, and they voted on it as a collective via a committee. He lied. No shit, Sherlock. I mean, we were sat in front of our tellies and we could work out Bojo. I mean, he's a character, granted, and Prime Minister. And he was the guy. Do you know why they don't like him? For a number of reasons, but here's a bit of insight. Bojo was the first person to say herd immunity. First person. But herd immunity means everybody gets it. Some people die, sadly. But everybody gets it, and as a species, we get through it. Didn't want that. That's not where the money's being made, herd mentality. But Boris Johnson, right at the very beginning, he was talking with these medical experts that were standing next to him. He was talking about herd immunity. Can you not remember that? But like over last weekend, they were like, he lied. Well, he didn't lie about herd immunity, and that right there was the most important thing in the last 3 years that anybody could have told us as a collective, me and you. I mean, I know, you know, Trump was asking us to have a swally with some Dettol or something, but to give him his due, he told us the truth in one of the most important events to ever affect humankind. No wonder they wanted rid of him. He was a liability. He might tell other truths. But no, he lied 4 times. So we get that. So why wasn't spineless Sunak not in there going, look, the boy lied. The boy lied. What can I do? The committee's had an inquiry and its output is he lied 4 times. He lied to House of Parliament and he lied. So I'm going to vote against him. Don't like liars. So that's all he had to do. Like Schofield, didn't have to lie, just be straight up and down. And in this weird, crazy world that we're in at the minute, where nothing feels safe and nothing feels secure and nothing feels as it was, we would be able to get up of a morning and roughly know what our day is going to be. And at the moment, we don't know what one day is going to be from the next. So we need leaders. We don't want businessmen who are going, so how much will Infosys get if we do these Armageddon alarms? Spineless, you can't say that. Whose company is being paid for the Armageddon alarm? I'll leave it with you. He sleeps with her most nights, so I'm told. So I think what's happening now, you and I are seeing through the BS. We're seeing through it. They can stand there and go, I'm getting tough on crime and the causes of crime. No, you're not. You're just saying it, Tony. And so was it in January? He said, and I have a newspaper archive, because when I buy them, I keep them, much to my partner's chagrin. But I keep them. And the reason I keep them is because I have the newspaper on the front of which Spineless Sunak says, I'm going to deal with the boats. I'm going to deal with immigration. I'm going to stop it all. And what's happened? None. Absolutely nix, nada, nout, nothing. Bugger all. He just comes out and starts talking. So it goes on the front page of the newspapers, and then off he goes to do whatever dealing he's doing and whatever money he's making. Seymour, Maria, Adrian, they all lied. Well, there's the irony. There are people in the Houses of Parliament that are pointing the finger at Boris Johnson and said, they lied. He lied. A politician lying. Fan my brow. They all lie. Seymour Maria's correct. They all lie. All of them. And then on the day that the Bojo was being nailed in Parliament, so to speak, there was another one who said, I was found in a brothel with some coke. And I'm not talking the drink either. Colombian marching powder. And then that was... So at the moment, Spineless Sunak's got 5 by-elections. Oh, there's a comedy opening there that I could spend all night with. So he's Spineless Sunak's got 5. How's he going to do? I will make a prediction. And look, I'm not psychic. If I was, I'd be winning the lottery every weekend. The Tories are going to take such a kicking at the next general election. And why? Because they are bare-faced liars. And in all my years on this planet, I still have a few left, thankfully, hopefully. Well, I didn't take the Widowmaker. I know, sure as eggs are eggs, and in my experience of human beings, what's the worst thing you can do to somebody? Lie. It's like Schofield. Elton John, what on earth is Reg up to? Don't give me Elton John. His real name is Reg. Little Reg. Specky Reg. He's now saying it's homophobic. So, Reg, if you're watching, masterful musician, wonderful musician. Your charity work is beyond reproach. I mean, you've done so much for so many people over the years. But to stand there and say the attacks, well, that's what you deemed them to be, on Philip Schofield were homophobic. No. And I'll tell Reg, I'll tell the MPs, and I'll tell anybody that wants to listen. It's the lies that does it. It's the lies. We're not having somebody on our TV that barefacedly lied to his wife. That's the worst thing in the world. Wife, YMU, his agency. I was going to talk about YMU tonight. ITV, everybody. Was he grooming him? Who knows? But he definitely got him into ITV. So, is that grooming? But it's the lies that does it for them. They're done because they lie. Now, Bojo, look, we know that all the politicians lie. They lie through their back teeth, these people. And all they're in there for is not for the greater good. They're in there to make as much money as they can, as quickly as they can, before they get thrown out. Off you go, sling your hook. Oh, that's all right. I made about 5 mil. Which was the politician that said, oh, I can't survive on 70 grand a year? What? Oh, that'll be the guy. Well, no, I won't go into that. But it was a politician that I know, and I know where he lives, and I know the house he lives in. Massive. Can I just tell my Scots friends, because that leads me. Yeah, Paulie. Yeah, I know about Kitty. That's going to come out big time. When, I don't know. Depends when they look. All the mainstream media is controlled. They only allow you to see what they want you to see. But Kitty, literally, when he shuffles off this mortal coil, the newspapers will run stories about him for years, every day for years. I know some of them. I've been there with my own peepers at a party with him and his male partner. And I said to the record company guy, who's that? No, he's his partner. That's not what the press tell me. Oh, yeah. Been together years. Can't tell you the name. Fairly litigious. And just kind of touching on politics a little bit, kind of on the periphery. Because, look, what was the song? What was the song? All Politicians Lie. Oh, it was about 2000. It was one of those really brilliant. It was from an article in the New York Times, and they put it to music. Can't remember it now, but in that he says, all politicians lie. We get that. We do. The amount of them that's doing Charlie, though, I mean, another one got caught out this week. What was it, a couple of months ago? He had to leave and go into rehab. What is it the old saying says? Screw politics. Was that one of his lines? It's very good. Well, was that one of his lines? Was that an original line? I was going to give you a saying there. Yes, to do with these political shenanigans by these ne'er-do-wells in the Pink Palace in London. It's power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I look at these crooks every day. Look, as far as I'm concerned, a lie is a crook. That's all. It doesn't. I know where, if I had an enema, where I'd put it, because that's where it needs putting to flush all the brown stuff out of that place. They're all there in their nose, in their snout, in the trough. Oh, even an uninvited guest. Sorry, didn't say hello earlier. The song is called no. The song is called "Political Lie" by the group 404. No, it's not that one. It's it was kind of mainstream. It was everybody was. It was don't read beauty magazines. They only make you feel ugly, and politicians lie. Do you know, the minute I stop this live stream, it'll come straight to me. Always the way. So I wanted to just touch on the periphery of politics. Because when Liz Truss became Prime Minister, remember her, the lettuce? I'm sorry, the lettuce lasted longer. She's really upset about that. But it's humour, it's irony. Liz, you didn't last as long as the lettuce. Just take it on the chin. You can make your own comedy up. I'm not going to get myself into trouble. She's wearing a day collar, though, if you know what one of those is. So Liz Truss is Prime Minister, and not for very long. And she was saying to us, you remember. She was saying to us, oh, we're going to have power cuts. We're going to have power cuts over Christmas. I realised that that's not great, but we're going to have power cuts over Christmas. And then we got around. Sling your hook, Liz, and your day collar. Don't Google it. Don't. Certainly when you're not with family. I know you're going to Google it, but, you know, don't do it in work. It's NSFW, not suitable for work. But she was saying we're going to have power cuts. Oh, yes, Simone Maria, thank you for that. Manic Street Preachers is absolutely spot on. If you tolerate this, then your children will be next. It's a beautiful line. I mean, so insightful and wise and obvious. But to kind of go, before I talk about Liz Truss and the power cuts again, how difficult is it to be able to guide your children through this world and give them enough skills and tools and life tools to be able to deal with? It's a crazy world, a crazy world. How challenging is being a parent nowadays? I mean, look at the amount of, the whole of society is awash with drugs. If the politicians are doing Charlie and then admitting that they were caught in a brothel, I mean, we haven't got leaders that our kids can look up to. I'm not suggesting that anybody ever looked up to political leaders. I think somebody's mentioned Brian Clough. When I started this channel, there were a couple of things that I wanted to do. One was I wanted to do my story of Diana and working within the Fired organisation and what I experienced and what I saw and what I did and how I came to find out. It's a really unusual story, how I came to find out about Diana's death and what I think happened, Boston Breaks. And also, I have photographic proof. No one else has. I have photographic proof. Now, that could get me into a lot of trouble. But I worked within the Fired organisation. And I wanted to do that video. I wanted to do my Brian Clough video. Because as far as I was concerned, Brian Clough was one of the greatest men that ever lived. There were a few heroes, personal heroes. Muhammad Ali, I think he was just the most amazing soul. I mean, he had his weaknesses, but just what he went through and what the Americans put him through because of his faith. An incredible soul. And Brian Clough, similarly, I met him at Century 106. And without going into too much detail, because I want to save this for a video, a full-length video for you, he was wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I was in the radio station. I was the star of the radio station. That's not me being Johnny Big Bollocks. It's just, you know, giving you context. And both the sports editor, Darren Fletcher, evening Darren, and the managing director knew how nervous I was for weeks before. We knew he was coming in to do the football phone-in. And he was coming. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I was so nervous when he was in the building. I was pacing the floor upstairs. Jo, the managing director, had to come and get me, and she was like, "Come on, come on, come on, come on." And I walked in, and the first thing he said to me was, "Hello, son. Who do you think you are? Me?" Because my controversial lunchtime phone-in on Century 106 was very controversial, very. And it was straight talking, no messing about, straight talking. And that, just that little thing, him, who do you think you are, son? Me? Brilliant. I spent half an hour at his feet, literally, talking to him about Sunderland, when he played for Sunderland, his injury, because sadly I'm a Sunderland fan. Can't choose your football team. And just that story in itself, I want to tell you, but in a more measured, long-form video rather than just rushing it here. And he said to me, when he went in to do the football phone-in on Century 106, he said to me, "Son, are you still going to be here when I come out?" And I was like, "Yes, boss, yes, boss, yes, I'll be here. I'll wait forever." And he was just wonderful. But sadly, his son had to whisk him away. After he'd done the phone-in, he was obviously tired and just whisked him away. But for me, that gift of meeting Brian Clough stay with me forever. And I know how that felt. So, you know, when I've met people and they've listened to me on the radio, and it's not on the same scale at all, and I don't propose it to be, but when people meet you and there is a modicum of fame of some kind, it takes nothing to make them smile. So in all my travels, in all my radio stations, if someone's wanted to come and meet me or come and sit in the studio or, you know, come and write articles, or if there was any way that I could help them, I always did it. I always did it for them, because they will go away. There are people in South Wales and the northeast of England and across the East Midlands that will say, oh yeah, blimey, he's on YouTube. I met him. Nice guy. Always, always, always. And it costs nothing. NB Media UK, Brian Clough was the best manager England never had. I mean, you can look at Pep. Pep's like incredible. Oh, interesting, Adam. Let me just deal with this, because you've asked two very interesting questions to NB Media. He was the greatest football manager, in my humble opinion, ever, because he used to do all the talk shows. I mean, like, you know, me meeting him, he always wanted to meet Frank Sinatra. He was a big fat Frank Sinatra fan, and he met him on Parkinson, I think. And you just know he went home to his missus and just said, oh, I met Frank Sinatra. So I went home just literally blown away by having half an hour in the company of one of the greatest souls that has ever walked this sceptred aisle. To Adam Coles, do you like this or radio better? Ooh, Adam, I would say I'm still learning at both, because I would never suggest I've ever done the perfect radio show, ever. Do I like this? It's different. It's different to radio. I've spent 40 years honing my craft at radio. Every week, every day, I would love going into a radio studio, sitting down and creating something from nothing. Literally have the listeners call me and tell me their stories, which is why the comment section on any video that I do, I am more than happy to engage with, because sometimes they're your stories. And I've had some incredible stories in these little text boxes on the video and in the comments. And they say, knock on any door, you'll always find a story. And that's the only thing that I want to do. That's the only thing I want this to be. I want this to be an interaction. I want this to be engaging interaction. I want you to get this on every conceivable level that I bring to this. So whether it's radio, and I still do Zetland FM in the northeast, I do a little soul and dance show on a Saturday, which I do for nothing. I do it for literally the joy of doing it, for my friends in the northeast. And this, I do it for the joy, because it's fun. And I speak with people away from here, because sometimes it's easier when it's private and people can be more easygoing with their story. Hang on. Darren Porter, what's the story of Star Sailor CD on? Oh, I might have to I've completely forgot about that. I didn't know what you were talking about there. What's the story of Star Sailor CD on the wall? One of my best albums. Why that one? Just the stuff that's behind me is just like little baubles that I've picked up. That one there, hung on the wall of the LBC boardroom. No, I didn't nick it. Before you say anything, you're utter wrong. That's Century 106. That hung in the boardroom of Century 106. Thankfully, the managing director gave me both of those. God, I had to drag that LBC thing on the train up to the northeast, and it was like fighting with a set of bagpipes. The all new Hey All from Central London. I did promise that I would go to Adam Coles. Adam, you're very kind. Let me just... so, do you like this or radio better? Oh, do you mind if I take a little time to consider that? Because radio is different. It's very different. They do say, and when people are getting into radio of any kind, and they come to me for any guidance, I always say the same thing. It's just one person. So I know that when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to millions of people on YouTube. I'm talking to you. And it's a real skill that you have to hone. Because if I was to kind of go, oh, hello, everybody, I mean, some people, some professionals who are paid a lot of money start their radio shows with, hello, everyone. No, that's the magic of radio. That's the theatre of the mind. That's one. Hang on, Saltless Monster, I haven't gone yet. Oh, was I going to say something about Scotland and then got sidetracked? Yeah, let me think about it. just in case I oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I still maintain that Ian Lee is one of the best phone-in presenters this country's ever seen. Love the man to bits, and I love his art, because that's what it is. Shannon, if you see the comment, Shannon says Ian Lee did his stream about a week ago while blocking his camera, so it felt like a phone-in. It was great not to have to worry about the visual context. Radio is such a wonderful medium. It is romantic. It is without being disingenuous, I've oh no, did she? Screw politics. Hello, lovely listeners and vibrant viewers. One person, Vanessa. You're speaking to one person, you dippy mare. So anybody who wants to get into radio or podcasting, oh, Megan, podcasting. Did I tell you on the last live, and I'm running over, I've still got a few minutes to go. I told you this a couple of days ago when I gave you the background into radio and what we do. So I would come and interview you, and whatever room it was in, I'd record some atmosphere. Silent, just the room ambience, because then I would go back to a studio and I would start asking questions and put the atmos underneath me, and it would sound as if I was in the same place. Megan wasn't. She wasn't in the same room, possibly not even in the same state. So what she's done, she sat there and gone, right, who's the next guest? And her producers and her team have gone, right, we're going to speak to a famous tennis player now, or we're going to speak to Mariah Carey. So she would just trip off and just talk and meow, 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 meow. It's not about that. So you can tell that she was never, ever in the presence of the person she was allegedly speaking to. I can tell that as a radio pro. I can tell it a mile away. And I didn't particularly want to listen to that because it's not of a good enough standard for my ears to be tortured with it. I would have been able to tell the edit points. I would have been able to tell when she'd asked the question and whether they'd moved stuff around. Because look, the great producers will take your question and might put it at the end of the interview when you asked it at the beginning. It's theatre of the mind, radio. And all of these, so anybody who wants to get into radio or podcasting or YouTubing, GB Patriot, I completely agree. Megan had producers asking the questions. She's a first-class yacht girl grifter. Did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself? So you can tell by some of the techniques that were used that she wasn't even in the same room as them, and she would have been told, right, ask this question. And anybody that comes to me and asks about radio, there is one technique that will take a while to perfect, and it goes into podcasting, it goes into YouTube videos, it goes everywhere. It's simply called the one breath question. Now, I know I've been dancing around all night because some of your text messages have been fabulous. But you really, when you're talking to... Yeah, he did, actually. Steve. And Steve Allen is another great practitioner of radio. Wonderful. He's probably got 6 months gardening leave, and then he'll reappear, is my best guess. But, and I'll probably put this into a short. The one breath question. Ask the question, shut it. Ask the question, shut it. Give your interviewee the time and the space to be themselves and allow you their answer. STF. You. One breath question. It's an art. Not many master it. But I am going to be doing podcasting. I am going to be doing interviewing. And I'm probably setting myself up for a fall. But I will bring it to you because I've attempted to hone my craft for 40 years. But this one technique, only one technique, one breath question, you master that, you will be the master of all you survey. I promise you. And radio is that simple. It's not difficult. It's not hard. Stop that. You're making your own gags up. But radio is one of the greatest mediums we've ever had to enjoy in this country. And sadly, it's going down the Swanee without a paddle. But one breath question, if you're starting a YouTube channel up, maybe you're doing a bit of podcasting, try it. Just try it. Just try it 2 or 3 times. Just have your questions set out. Hang on. Some people in radio used to say to me that I was the master of silence. Some of the techniques that I use, people don't understand them. But if I had someone on the radio and it was a great story, I'd shut up. And do you know what that does? It's almost an NLP practice. But people don't like silence. So if you shut up, they'll actually talk more to fill the space, the silence. So you ask them a one breath question and they'll just keep going. And for the listener, if I don't say anything, Ali, well, you're very kind. Thank you. That's really touched me. Thank you. For the listener who's at home or at work or in the car and there's silence, they want to know what's going on. So they don't switch. They turn the radio up. How simple and effective is that? So if you're going to do YouTube or podcasting especially, don't be afraid of the silence. Don't. It's masterful. Master the art of the silence in radio. And within radio, there is something called the obit tape or the emergency tape. And what happens, it's not necessarily a tape, but what happens is that the radio, if it goes silent because, I don't know, something's happened or the studio's blown up or the engineers are running around pulling plugs out and putting plugs in, and the silence, the computer goes, hang on, there's been silence for 45 seconds. Boom! Starts playing music. Starts playing the tape, the emergency tape, just because, oh no. I used to leave it until 44 seconds. And then I'd flick my mic open and start talking. I mean, my phone ops, they know this. Alex Belfield, Leighton, who's a wonderful guy. They all knew. I just close everything. I just think, right, well, where am I going to take this? I always knew where my exit was. Whenever I was doing an interview or whether I was talking to somebody, the minute they came on the radio, I knew where my exit was. And in that, the drama is in the silence. So please, I would love it if you want to contact me and get some, I don't know, some pointers on radio, podcasting, interviewing technique. More than happy to help you. I've had a couple of people already contact me talking about wanting to do YouTube channels and podcasting. But be the master of the silence. And don't be afraid of it. Because the listener will appreciate you for it. My name's Adrian Allen. Please don't forget the thummy thing. If you've enjoyed tonight's live, I can't even speak now. If you've enjoyed tonight's live stream, please just hit the thummy thing, the likes. I would really appreciate it. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but as ever, most of all, your intelligence, indulgence. Yeah, thummy thing. So thank you for your likes. Yeah, I need to go and lie down now. Absolutely. After all that, I'm telling you how good I was on the radio. And I'm turning out shite. Isn't there an irony? Thank you for your indulgence. I'll see you on the next live on Sunday, 25th of June, 1900 hours if you're in the military, 7 o'clock if you're not. Thank you to everyone that's commented. I will get to those. And I've got some thank you to young Jacob, who helps me greatly with all the editing. We've got some stuff coming to you over the next few days, hopefully every day. And enjoy the sunshine and the heat. And I'll see you live Sunday, 1900 hours. See you in the next live.